transitioning into the next segment, training camp is, it's essentially wrapping up, and now it's just becoming practice because next week Baltimore Ravens play a football game. And unfortunately, Joshua, or maybe fortunately, because I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of tired talking about it, the streak is no more. We got to give it to the Commanders. They won their Super Bowl last year, a preseason game. We got to start a new streak. And how does that start? Starts with our training camp standouts. Who are some guys that have been catching your eye just in terms of reading reports and like hearing interviews? Who are some guys that you're thinking of as, hey, I'm excited to watch these guys play because they've been playing well in practice?
I mean, you just said one of the names, man. Nate Wiggins. I mean, let's talk about it. If you just starting to tune into us, shameless plug. Go watch our reaction, our draft pick reactions, man. I think we both was kind of sold on, getting the Keon Coleman move, bringing in a wide receiver. I love his personality. I love what he's going to do for the Buffalo Bills. Man, he's just a humble man. I'm looking forward to see what he does. But, back to my team, we got a dog. We got a dog at corner, Nate Wiggins. Everybody's like, oh, he's undersized. So, he's not going to tackle. You didn't watch Clemson football. Oh, he can't cover. You didn't watch Clemson football. Oh, he can't get no interceptions. He can't make plays. Once again, you didn't watch Clemson football. The young man is out there already making plays since day one. Since he's stepped into the training camp. I mean, he didn't caught a couple picks, not off of Devin Leary, but off of Lamar Jackson. He's been sticking with some of the quickest wide receivers on the team, stride for stride. Right now, with how fast the league is getting, especially with how fast the AFC North is getting alone, I'm not going to say Marlon Humphrey can't stick with NFL young boy, but we need a tall, physical corner that's willing to get grimy with an NFL young boy. Someone else like someone else to get physical with a Jamar Chase, who is showing to his prima donna ways. But neither here or there. I'm not worried about Cleveland. Those Cleveland Brown wide receiver core, they can be handled, they can be stopped. But you need that, because the way our defense move our secondary pieces around, you need two guys on the outside that can hold their own and stand their ground. Shout out to Brandon Ballskill Stevens. He really came into his own last year. And, this is something we've kind of been looking for in Brandon Stevens. So now we know what to, kind of expect for this upcoming year, for him to stand his ground, stand on business. Now you're getting a rookie. I ain't gonna lie to you. He reminds me of a taller version of Ladarius Webb. Undersized, little body, but he was willing to go out there and hit the biggest of the baddest. Running backs, wide receivers, whoever, and he was also able to make plays. And even he made plays on special teams too. I'm not saying I don't know if they out there letting Nate get back there on special teams, but if they do, that's a sight to see. I think that it's a sight to see too. But I'm definitely looking forward to see how Nate Wiggins compares up to other NFL wide receivers, how he shows up, how he shows out, how the game is slowed down for him, or is it sped up. I just want to see where his IQ level against other NFL teams.
Yeah, and I think that Nate Wiggins is absolutely a guy that we need to be monitoring. When you look at the Baltimore Ravens in their last, we'll say 10 years, I want to say they've only drafted 2 secondary pieces in the first round. And I would go as far to say as both of them were fantastic draft selections. Obviously, we took Kyle Hamilton, but before that, it was Marlon Humphrey. And neither of them necessarily were starters day one. Now, we have to say Kyle Hamilton would have been a starter. He was clearly the best safety on the Baltimore Ravens his rookie year, but we couldn't play him because Chuck Clark was playing that role. And we were like, we got to get rid of Chuck Clark. We said it every week. But Marlon Humphrey came in, and I think this is a great comparison. Marlon Humphrey, rookie year, and Nate Wiggins rookie year. Both players that are NFL ready coming out of college with very good speed. They can both play the ball. They can really guard almost any type of wide receiver. But there's two starters in front of him. For Marlon Humphrey, it was Jimmy Smith and it was Brandon Carr. Two players that, obviously Brandon Carr wasn't necessarily, the greatest cornerback, but he was a solid cornerback. He was a guy that you were okay with starting. Again, not the best. I'm not trying to go out there and say he was an all-pro for the Baltimore Ravens or anything like that, but it was like, okay, he can stay healthy. He can go out there and he can do an okay job. And Jimmy Smith was our shutdown corner. But it was like Marlon Humphrey was playing. That's the benefit of having multiple corners is you start multiple corners, right? It's not quarterback. It's not running back. Like you get to go out there almost every play. And Marlon Humphrey and Brandon Stevens can both play in the slot. Marlon is a fantastic slot corner, and maybe slot is better for him at this stage of his career. He isn't as fast as he used to be. He doesn't have to only be a slot corner, but maybe if he was a primary slot corner that, went out wide in certain matchups and scenarios, that's totally fine. But Nate Wiggins doesn't have to worry about covering the best wide receiver on the team. But simultaneously, say he is, and say the Ravens are playing, honestly, anyone other than the Dolphins. Because if Nate Wiggins is guarding the best receiver and he gets beat, Nate Wiggins is faster than every wide receiver in the NFL, I would argue, except for two. I think I'd give Tyreek Hill the nod, and I'll give Xavier Worthy the nod. Xavier Worthy of the Chiefs. He ran 4.22 at the combine, unbelievably fast. But like other than those two, Nate Wiggins is as fast as or faster than them. Even a guy like Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is a fantastic wide receiver, but in terms of top speed, Nate Wiggins probably has the quickness and ability to maybe catch up to him. So it's not a situation where you're going out there with, I'm trying to think of slow corners, Josh Norman, like veteran Josh Norman, and like, yeah, he gets beat, and you're like, that's a touchdown. It's all the way back to the safety now. He has two very good safeties over the top. He's going to be able to rely on his athleticism, and he's very good at utilizing his hips. He's very good at playing in phase. Go out there, try and make some plays. If it doesn't work out on that play, he has the recovery time. He has the quickness to get back and help the Baltimore Ravens continue moving forward. He's going to get a lot of reps. He's going to get beat. And I think we're going to see him and TJ Tampa a fair bit. I think we'll see Nate Wiggins more, but I think we will see a fair bit of TJ Tampa. The Ravens love to blitz guys off the edge, right? We got Arthur Millette. We might be able to see TJ Tampa off the edge. Imagine Nate Wiggins blitzing off the edge. He'll definitely get some opportunities with his speed. That's going to be
he like 6'2", 6'3"?
Yeah. He's like six. He's 6'1" or 6'2", and he runs a 4.2 40.
And you putting size like that's what I'm saying. You putting size like that on the defensive side of the ball. Look at the way Kyle Hamilton blitzed last year. 6'4". That's scary.
Mm-hmm.
and Kyle Hamilton had a motor on him too. So
another guy I think I want to give a shout out to that has been apparently making plays. I've seen his name a couple of times and people talking about him on like Twitter, people talking about him in press conferences. I want to give a shout out to Dayton Wade. I think most people were really excited about Dayton Wade. He was one of my favorite undrafted players. The Ravens have a long history of undrafted players making the team. He's an undersized wide receiver, but he does have some punt returning ability. He does have some kick returning ability, so potentially we'll see some of that. And speaking of kick returns, I strongly suggest everyone watches the Hall of Fame game purely to watch the kick returns. See if anything interesting happens, because I'm assuming most of us have not watched many USFL games where they have that new kickoff rule. So there's a new kickoff rule. We don't know exactly what the ideal player is. Is it a strong running back that can break tackles? Is it someone really fast and shifty that can get through the line? Are teams having a bunch of linebackers be their blockers for it, or are they having a bunch of safeties, or is it tight ends? We do not know what exactly is going to happen, but it'll be really interesting to watch. So if you don't care about the teams. Doesn't matter, I think. I think just watch the kickoffs, or at least watch the highlights to see if anything happens on the kickoffs, because it is new rules. No real run up. It's a 10-yard difference between the blockers and the gunners. I guess they're gunners. They're not really gunners anymore. They're just kind of like kick coverage, kick coverage players. But I'm going to be very excited to see that. Joshua, with a guy like Dayton Wade, a wide receiver, who do you think is the person that, if he is able to make the roster, because assuming Devontae Walker is taking over for Odell on the roster last year, who's a guy that should be worried maybe about Dayton Wade?
Let's go with the odd man. Let's talk about the young man that's transitioned to wide receiver, Malik Cunningham. As much as I would love for him to be, looked at more as a QB heavily, I have been hearing about him having good camp, far as making the transition to wide receiver. But it's he's not a Terrell Pryor type of case, Terrell Pryor was like 6'2", 6'3", and he kind of made it worked out for itself. I don't see that happening for Malik Cunningham unless they have a true package where we could possibly see Malik Cunningham on the field. I kind of feel like that's my guy that may be on the outside looking in. Don't want that to happen, but if we got three preseason games.
Yep.
If Dayton has 3 strong preseason games, 3 strong preseason games, and also bringing it every day to practice and camp, Malik might be that guy.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see exactly what happens, but